Have you ever thought that sometimes fate likes to play a game of catch with us? Think about it. A marriage of traditional and surrounded by flowers, the laughter, and the promises of a love forever, and out of nowhere, the scene turns into a real script for the comedy of the divine. You can't imagine a scenario in which the universe itself resolves to put an obstacle in such an unusual that seems to be the joke in bad taste? As it is, this is a story that I will tell you today is just that, a marriage, which, instead of following the script of a romance, it ends up turning into a moral lesson, with a touch of humor, and a dash of poetry and poetics. Stay with me until the very end, because that's all you're going to find out now. You will be amazed, and to make you reflect on what truly matters in life. Let's think about it together. Marriage is a moment of union, in the hope that it will all work out. But what about when the universe itself seems to conspire to test our faith? Have you ever gone through something like this? You know that feeling that, at times, it all fits together perfectly, until an unseen force decides to reverse the roles? It is just that energy that pervades the story. Imagine a ceremony that was beautiful, full of emotion, with the invited guests, eager hearts, beating strong, and there, in the center of it all, a pair of shining eyes, about to tell you is the long-awaited yes. But, on the contrary, a happy ending. You get a surprise so surreal that it almost seems a play of humor. And what's amazing? This is a surprise comes from the seemingly insignificant, that it is only the prying eyes can see. You are going to a better understanding of the course of the story, but here is a hint. Sometimes, what looks like a simple detail, you can hide it's a lesson in life that no one expected. And to make it even more irresistible, I'm going to invite you to imagine the scene with the details of cinema, to feel all the emotions that run through the heart of the one who lives in him at the moment, and you realize that, deep down, that everything is connected by a web of invisible karma and energy. After all, who has ever wondered what if the universe actually conspires in favor of or against it? And the answer, my friend, it might be hidden, exactly where we least expect it. So, just relax, take a deep breath and come along with me on this journey that promises you hold the beginning and the end, with a story that mixes humor, poetry, and reflection, which could change your view on what is, in truth, marriage, and destiny. Because, at the end of the day, this is a great reminder of how, sometimes, the universe gives us an opportunity to look beyond the obvious, and maybe even learn to laugh at our own mistakes and successes. And it is precisely at this moment of pause which you can feel the power of what you're going through, without even realizing it. Sometimes it is the silence in between the words, you reveal more than any of the dialogue, and it is this insight that we get an awesome opportunity for us to connect with what really matters to you. You may, if you think about all of this, you will notice that there seems to be a simple story of chance, or fate. In fact, it carries a message, a more in-depth lesson that invites us to look out for in the most caring and understanding. In a way, this narrative has touched your heart, or it has brought a sense of recognition, and I want you to know that your efforts make all the difference. Leave a comment, no matter how simple it may be, is such as to extend a helping hand to those who are also seeking to better understand their journey. Share your feelings, or your own experience to help create a network of empathy, where we can all learn and grow together. In addition, if the content resonated with you and enjoy the video, this is one way to strengthen this connection, showing that the message is worth it to be spread. And, of course, if you feel that there is more to explore, if you want to keep finding those avenues of reflection, and subscribe to the channel, it is an important first step. Here, every story, every thought is a piece of this puzzle. We are putting together a community that seeks to understand, to learn, and, above all, to move with lightness and originality. Right now, for us to continue to deepen this topic, there's something even more important what you need to understand. I now want to go more in depth on this topic, because of the fact that we are just beginning to discover is not something that is found in the words of a simple or easy answers, which is the majority in the search. It is a fundamental part of your own in the silence that too often we avoid listening to things that we do to escape the hustle of day-to-day, in our own strength to accept that it is, in essence, are the most responsible for shaping our own reality. And with this understanding, it is as obvious as it may seem, it has a complexity that few people stop to think about. Because you are, in essence, the whole of true transformation comes from a decision to be silent, in an intimate moment in which we have decided to look into it, even with the fear that you're going to find there. It is in this moment that we begin to realize that the universe is external. It is just a reflection of what we carry in ourselves internally, which is a projection of our beliefs, of our borders, our emotions are not dealt with. And when you understand it, everything changes. Because all of a sudden, we realize that we are no longer at the mercy of our circumstances, but we are the architects of our own destiny. This is a great eye-opener, the power to transform a life, not on external forces, or in the lot, but in our capacity to change the internal narrative, to rewrite the stories that we tell ourselves, the people, the one to the internal dialogue that often limit us, holds us, and keeps us move forward. This is a wake-up call that takes courage, because it means letting go of the old certainties of the routines are comfortable. In fact, it keeps us stuck. But, at the same time, the wake-up is liberating, because we can reconnect with the essence of who we are. In fact, in addition to the masks, in addition to the opinions of others, in addition to the expectations that we have placed. When we understand that everything that limits us, it is, in a vast majority of the time, just an illusion created by our mind, and it all starts to make sense. And then, what appeared to be a battle against the outside world, it becomes a battle of the internal journey of self-discovery and reconstruction in a daily basis. Every decision we make, every thought that we grow, each and every action that we do is on a piece in the building. And this, if it is done with the intention, self-love, and with a clear conscience, it turns it all around us. Because, deep down, it's all about the alignment of the line. When we are in alignment with our truth, our purpose, and the universe conspires in our favor, and bringing opportunities to people, and experiences that resonate with this frequency. It is this vibration that attracts everything you desire. It is not by chance, but by a natural harmony. And it is this harmony is only achieved when we stop seeking out the things that I found in all of us. A change of mentality, which is a decision of whether or not you connect with what really matters to you. It makes you realize that life is so much more than a series of random events. It is an opportunity to constantly discover, to grow, and to become the best version of yourself. And, in the process, we have learned that the greatest strength we have is our ability to choose, to decide, to believe in our own power. Because, at the end of the day, we are the creators of our own reality. And that's the truth they just want to take in. The power to change anything that is out of our hands. It always was, just that a lot of times we forget to use it in power. Now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that understanding is the first step to true happiness. And, once you understand this, you begin to see that life is not something that happens to us, but it's something that we at every moment, our choices, our emotions, and our faith in the possibility of a new beginning. So, it is time to stop for a moment, taking a deep breath, and reflect that it really stops me from being who I want to be. What are the stories that I'm still holding on, even without knowing it? And as long as I can, from now on, you take control of the narrative by rewriting it with courage and with love, and with the certainty that everything is possible. Because, after all, the only thing that really counts is our decision to move forward, with hope, with faith, and in the knowledge that you are on the right track, even if you're not able to see the final destination. And so, on this journey of self-transformation and becomes a quest for self-love, and an opportunity to reconnect with what is most true in all of us. It is in deep contact with our friends, we find strength to overcome any obstacle, in order to change difficulty in learning, and to understand that, at the end of the day, we are all authors of our own story. And, as this idea was firmly established in your mind, you begin to realize that it really does make a difference not only in the external actions, but in the silent connection that we have with who we are of the truth. It is as if, behind all of the mask, the entire facade that is life, sometimes we need to use it, there was a spark of authenticity, is it true, pure, and recognize that only we can see when we stop to listen to it. And this is listen to this listen inside. This is a delicate process, much like learning how to listen to a song that was composed of the heart, not his ears. At this point, it all becomes a question of courage to allow yourself to feel it, to open up the space for that inner voice can be grown without fear, without judgment, without the hassle. Because, deep down, that this is the only way to really reconnect with what is most profound in all of our experiences, to understand that the whole of our strength, our resilience comes from an understanding, sincere, who are, in addition to the appearance, in addition to the labels that society tries to put on us. And this is where the transformation starts to draw in more light, as the light will be turning slowly, lighting up every corner, hiding from his soul. It seemed to be too dark to be seen. We find that the change is not something that is foreign to you, something that comes out of it, but it is a silent revolution that is going on inside, like a seed, which, after a period of rest, it germinates and blossoms of a sudden, at one time or another. And it is this flower, that the manifestation of the truth, that is what really sets us free. Because, when you get off with this beating heart, we've realized that we don't need to seek validation outside. There is no need to appeal to everybody, fill out the expectations that are not our own. True freedom comes from within, from in-depth understanding of all that we need is already out there, waiting to be acknowledged, embraced, and nurtured. And it's this journey of self-discovery, then, is a delicate dance between what you desire, what you fear, and what we really are. It is as if, along the way, Each and every step would lead us to the discovery that the greater the revelation that transformed our view of the world and of ourselves. And, in it, we learn to trust our intuition, to understand that our emotions, in order to carry the message of the valuable and, rather than run away from them, we should embrace them with love and curiosity. After all, every feeling, every thought, is a very important part of this puzzle that is our essence, and the more we allow ourselves to fit them in with care, the more clear it is to our true face. So, life is still a constant struggle to fit it all in ways that are predefined, and it becomes a more authentic expression of who we truly are, a work of art, living in a state of constant transformation. And, at this point, everything seemed to be distant, to be impossible or complicated. It starts to seem more approachable, as much as possible. Because you are, in fact, the greatest strength we have is our own personal connection with your inner truth. And, in this connection, it is a direct bridge to freedom, fulfillment, for the peace you have been searching for. It's as if, once you understand that we are the authors of our own story, not to be a passenger and have to be the main characters of the truth. And then, to take on such a role, it all takes on a new meaning, a new color, a new rhythm in the life, and then, it turns out to be an opportunity for constant growth, learning, and love it, because, in essence, that is at the heart of it all. To love oneself, to love the journey. Love is the evolution, even in the later levels, even when everything seems to be falling apart. I now want to go more in depth on this issue, because if you really think about it, this is the quest for authenticity and connection with ourself. The more real it is, a journey that never ends. It reinvents itself every day, and for each choice, each and every challenge that arises. It is a process of listening to the constant, the fine-tuning of dedication and courage. And when it comes time to face your own shadows, you realize that they, too, are a part of this story, which they will carry out key lessons. That is when we really let go. Then, the transformation is not a destination but rather a road, a walk, a continuous, which requires us to be available to genuinely open up to the unknown, to accept that we are in the progress display. And, in doing so, we realize that the greatest power lies in our vulnerability and our capacity for recognizing our own weaknesses, and at the same time, we strengthen with them. Because, after all, the true courage is in you if you allow yourself to be who you truly are, without masks, without fear, without shame. This is our power, our greatest gift, as to the authenticity of being, of truth, of who we were born to be. And, if you think about all of this, it is clear that the journey of self-discovery is to bridge the gap between what we are, and who we can become. The bridge, which is about having the courage to get through. They asked us to make a delivery, sincere, and a willingness to be open to the new one, even though he is scared. Because, at the end of the day, it all comes down to a matter of trust, in essence, to believe that, behind every mask, there is a light of its own, a truth that will never abandon us, even in the darkest times. And in that light, when it is recognized, lights up the path in a way that no other achievement outside could have done. It turns out that the real power lies in connecting to what is deepest within us, that it is the complete freedom only comes when we learn to listen to that quiet voice that leads us back to her home, to the place where it all makes sense, where you are complete and whole, just as it should be. And it is during this encounter, with our friends, we find strength to move forward, with hope, with love, and with the certainty that no matter what happens out there, the most important of which is our connection to who we really are. And as long as the connection with the core of who we become stronger, we can begin to understand that true transformation happens not only at the surface but the deepest layers of our being. It's as if, when you open the doorway, a soft light began to illuminate the corners of it before, in the dark, revealing not only of our own vulnerability, but it will also force a more hidden from view. At this point, the narrative of the life not only of a sequence of external events, and it becomes a journey of self-discovery, where every decision, in every sense, it is a critical piece of the puzzle that we are putting up with so much care. And when you realize this, we become more aware of our own choices, because we understand that these are not just the consequences of what happens in the world outside, but the consequences of that can be found within us, that we have been feeding, or neglect on the inside. This alarm is a silent, almost in a whisper that comes from within, a voice that reminds us that we deserve more than to be reconciled with the routines, with automatic or with the expectations of others. It is an invitation to be gentle, to look beyond what is visible, to immerse yourself in the essence of you has always been right there, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself. And, in doing so, we begin to see life in a different way, not as a constant battle against the world, but how to dance in a harmonious between our emotions, our decisions, and the universe that surrounds us. Each and every step that we take in this direction, it appears lighter in weight. Even in the face of obstacles, they still show up, because right now, we have a more in-depth understanding of what it is, all part of the process of learning, growth, and acceptance. And it is at this point that we realize that our greatest strength lies precisely in the courage to be yourself, to embrace our imperfections, and turn every scar is a story of perseverance. Because you are, in fact, each and every one of these brands is a testament to what have we learned, what we've evolved. And once we accept it, a new approach is open to you. Our potential is limitless when we are aligned with who you truly are, without masks, without the fear of appearing vulnerable. This authenticity, it is the one that connects us to all that is true within us all, and that, in turn, connects us with each other. It is a bridge to the unseen, is made with empathy and understanding. It makes us realize that we are not alone in this journey. We are all in search of a meaning, a purpose, a life that reflects our essence is pure. But, even so, it's not a finish line, it's the road that stretches out ahead, full of twists and turns, ups and downs, moments of doubt, and in the interests of clarity. Every step on this journey is challenging us to keep our faith in our own ability to transform, to trust our own intuition and listen to it with attention to the signs the universe is sending to us. Because, deep down, all of the things that we look for peace, love, and fulfillment, already inside of us, waiting to be acknowledged, embraced, and cultivated. And it is this connection to the core of it is the key that opens the door that is not thought to exist, revealing an inner world full of possibilities, the dreams, and the fact that, when the discovery is a never-failing source of strength and hope. I now want to go more in depth on this topic. Which actually prevents you from accessing this appears to be so large. How can we, in fact, set us free from the bonds that hold us to the fear, doubt, and limiting beliefs? These questions seem to be complex, but in essence, they are pointing to something very simple. It is the courage to face our own shadow, to find out what is hidden behind what is believed to be weaknesses. Because, oftentimes, it is the acceptance of all the parts that we reject it, we find a higher path to freedom. It is as if, in the embrace of our imperfections, to create a space for new possibilities to arise, in order for a change to happen from the inside to the outside. And, in the process, we have learned that self-awareness is not something you conquer at once, but it's a daily practice of listening, reflection, and self-love. The more we go deep about it, the more we realize that we are much more than our stories, our pain, or our doubts. We are the sum of the chances, the dreams, that you can still have a spirit that never went away. It just was sleeping. I was waiting for the right moment to emerge. And then, as the wake-up becomes more intense, you start to realize that everything that limits us, it can also turn into a source of power. Every challenge, every failure, every tear, concealed, carry with them a message that we are alive, who are still, we can start all over again. Because, deep down, that it's very true that life is a constant opportunity to rewrite our story and create new meanings for what seemed to be the end of it. And, when we learn to look beyond the surface, one is freed from the weight of the past, the guilt, the shame, and open up a new chapter in its history, one that arises from within, out of our deepest truth. So, we went on more lightly on the planet, with a renewed hope, and a clear understanding that we are the authors of our own destiny, capable of turning each page into a story of love, courage, and authenticity. And at this time, the only thing that really matters is our willingness to keep going, to listen to what your heart tells us, to trust in the power that comes from within. Because, in the end, it all comes down to a matter of courage. The courage to leave the face masks, the face, the shadow, and let the light within us to shine forth harder and harder. And when this happens, it's life. It becomes a fascinating adventure in a standing invitation to the evolution of the self, the discovery of a potential infinity that will never let you have. And so, the journey continues and is always in front of you, always in search of our true essence, which is, in fact, is our greatest treasure. I now want to go more in depth on this topic. Because, deep down, that the quest for authenticity, for us to recognize what we truly are, it's a process that goes through the layers of invisible, often in silence, which is only revealed in the stillness of our inner selves. It's like digging a delicate, each layer of sand, every trace of doubt or fear, and it needs to be carefully removed, so that the light from the core of who we can be to shine with more intensity. And that light is, in fact, it's the one that lights your way when everything seems dark, when the world is out there, insists that he would have us believe that we are in for something smaller, less important, less worthy of love and understanding. But this light did not come from outside. It is born from within, out of a recognition of the deep connection to the heartfelt, with our own beliefs, our dreams, and reality. And a lot of times, this is an act of courage, because it requires us to look within ourselves, and with brutal honesty, letting go of the masks we have created over the years to suit, to fit, or simply in order to survive in a world that seems to demand compliance. When you can't do that, you start to realize that the whole of the journey, their pain, their loss, as well as their achievements, it is a story of endurance, perseverance in the pursuit of our own space in the market for a reborn. It is as if, deep down, we are all trying to break free from the prison of the unseen, which we hold with the opinion of others, the expectation that you have never been to us, a narrative that has been imposed upon them, which, over time, it became a routine of complacency. And this is the liberation, this is the true emancipation of the emotional state. It only happens when we choose to look within and listen to our voice, no matter how sincere, is the one who often got hidden under the layers of fear or have any questions. It is at this point that we realize that our story is not defined by the labels that we put on or through the feedback we've received, but in the courage to be who you really are regardless of what the world was waiting for. And there you have it. Everything will change. We understand that our strength lies in our vulnerability and our capacity to embrace our imperfections and to learn from them and use them as stepping stones for the evolution to be real. This is a journey of self-discovery, is a dance, a silent, between what we know and what we decide to act, in between the fear that sometimes paralyzes us and the hope that drives us to move forward. And then, when you open up this space for our truth, we can begin to see the beauty in the simplicity of just being ourselves, without the mask, without the mask, without the mask. And, in the process, we discover that freedom is not something that we earn on the outside, but it's an achievement to the internal decision of whether to accept, to love, to respect, in all its authenticity. After all, this is the greatest gift that you can give to the world, to be fully who we are, with all our imperfections, all of our lights and shadows. It is in the delivery of the sincere to the very essence of that which we find out the true meaning of life, the one that connects us to the higher purpose, to be here, to do our part in the great web of existence, and they leave a mark of their authenticity, which, even in the silent, echoing through the generations. I now want to go more in depth on this topic, because that, when you immerse yourself in the reflection, we realize that this whole journey of self-discovery is a breakthrough of self-love, a love that is born from within. It doesn't depend on what other people are thinking, and that it is not driven by the achievements of the outside, but it pulses through our veins, like a constant reminder that you are worthy of all the good that life has to offer. And when you welcome them in this way, we have a solid foundation to weather any storm, no doubt, to any crisis that may arise. Because, deep down, we know that we are stronger when we are the way we are, when we are freed from the bondage of the trial, and deliver it to the authenticity. In this connection, our essence is what gives meaning to our choices, our actions, our words. And, in doing so, we seek validation from the external, and started to live a life that is aligned with what you really are. It's as if every step you take, every decision, and it was a genuine expression of one's being, a statement of quiet that no matter what happens, we are here for it to be true. And in that moment, everything changes. The fear turns to courage, the question becomes learning, uncertainty becomes an opportunity for growth. Because, at the bottom of this journey, it's a dance-off between who we are and who we want to be, between a past that has shaped the future of what we can create with our own authenticity. And to be free of all of the things that binds us to the expectations of others, we discover that freedom is a choice and a daily choice to honor your truth, even if it is silent or subtle. This is at the heart of it all. You realize that the greatest power lies in our ability to be true to ourselves, to cultivate self-love as a seed that blooms in every action, in every thought, in every breath. When you do this, you start to realize that life is not a battle to win over something that's out there, but it's a journey of inner discovery, the opportunity for us to order and with who we really are. And when you do that, to reconnect, to find a peace that is not dependent on external circumstances, but that which is born of the recognition of our own, the light of the understanding that we are all complete, just as you are. This understanding makes us stronger, gives us the courage to move forward, even when everything seems to fall apart, because we all know that, deep down, we are more than any of the storm, more than for any questions, more so than any of the challenges. We are at the very core of life, and are capable of self-esteem each and every day, and for us to reinvent ourselves each and every time. And it's in this endless loop of self-discovery that is the beauty of our journey, a journey that never ends, because as long as we are here, there's always a new one to be opened, then a new glow to the awakening of a new truth is to be embraced. And when you understand it, and we believe that all of this is, in fact, a tour of the home, and the home to the deepest, to the point where it starts and it all ends in is our own heart. I now want to go more in depth on this topic, because, deep down, all the searching for answers, for meaning, it often comes down to a single truth, that we are to ignore the fact that the greatest transformation is happening inside of us. And this change is not a straight line, nor is it a final destination, but rather a continuous flow that it is about having the courage to face our own shadows, our questions are quieter, that many times we would prefer to conceal even from ourselves. It's as if, when you look inside, and see that we are in an expanding universe, full of possibilities and limitations, which, when revealed, honestly, if you make the ground more fertile for self-discovery. And, in the process, we can begin to understand what all of the strength you feel, all the doubt that haunts them, it's actually an essential part of this journey, invitations, and subtle, to deepen our connection to who we really are. Because, too often, we seek to answer in views, built-in formulas, or the validation of the outside, but we forget that what really matters is inside of us, in our lives. This is the essence that is often unseen because of the noise of the world, and the expectations of others, the collection of internal VE created, and you, and ourselves, seem to make the absolute truth. And this is where it comes to the big reveal. In the silence, the voice of the outside, when you slow down and listen to what actually touches the inside, we found that there's nothing more powerful than our own personal truth, and that which is born of silence, intuition, feeling, pure, same, without any words, it leads us in the right direction. This is the truth that is hidden. Oftentimes, it's like a light that glows softly behind a dense curtain of fear, insecurity, or doubt, just waiting for you to have the courage to pull down that curtain and reveal what's always been right there, waiting to be seen. And, in doing so, we begin to realize that what we are looking for in the outer world is nothing more than a reflection of what we carry in ourselves. Every need, every desire, every fear, all of that is a part of the puzzle that makes up who we are to the truth. And the more that we explore in this connection, the less we feel that we are separated from ourselves, and are more aligned with our essence. It's as if, once you understand this dynamic, have a browse through the living more lightly on the planet, because we understand that the peace we seek is out there. It is, in fact, the memory of the dormant within us all, a reminder that it was there, waiting for us to have the courage to look into the case. And then, in the space of authenticity and vulnerability, and we understand that it is the greatest power we have is to be able to choose who we are going to be all the time, regardless of what the world has to say, or to enforce. This freedom of choice is what makes us connect to our true essence, that which does not change, that is eternal, and which, when ignited, makes the narrative of the limitation into an opportunity for growth. At this point, we realize that our journey isn't about conquering something that's out there, it's about remembering who you truly are, beyond the mask, beyond the limiting beliefs. In addition to that, we were told that it was the truth. And, in so doing, we can begin to understand that the search for meaning, by the way, it is, in fact, return to home, back to heart, back to the place where everything begins and everything ends. Because, at the end of the day, all that really matters is that deep connection with our own soul also, that the bridge is invisible, which connects us to the universe, to infinity, to the core of the most pure. And when you figure that out, we experience a freedom that is beyond words, and the peace that comes from within and is reflected in your every action, every decision, every breath. It's as if, when you look at it with more love, more compassion, we begin to realize that you're full, even in our weakness, because each and every scar, every doubt, every fear is a part of our journey, making us a unique and complete our journey of evolution. I now want to go more in depth on that subject. The relentless pursuit reveals itself to be, in fact, that we are all eternal learners in the self-love, authenticity, and the courage to be who you really are. And it is this courage, it is the one that allows us to remove the masks and immerse yourself in the essence of the pure, in fact, that He dwelleth in our hearts. Because, in essence, everything that you seek is a reflection of the love to which we are still discovering it within each of us is an expression of who we are. It would be advantageous to all, peace to all, light to all, and the happiness that exists in the universe. And to understand this, we realize that the greatest revolution that we can do, this is the one that happens first, in our minds, in our hearts and minds. Such a great message, one that sets us free from the limiting beliefs and connect with our own strength. More true, it's what drives us to keep on going even in the face of the most difficult challenges. Why on earth are these creatures of the light that, if you will let Him feel, just get rid of all the traps, all that does not allow them to shine with authenticity? And then, in a movement of self-discovery, we find out that true happiness is not something that you can go away, but it's an experience that takes place within. And when we are, our soul is who you really are, without fear, without a struggle, without a mask. This is a space of authenticity. We find the deeper meaning of our existence, that which makes us realize that what we really are is exactly what we were looking for you the whole time. Because, at the end of the day, it all boils down to the simple, yet powerful truth that we are made of light, and of love, and lots of options, and just up the courage to let that light shine through, no fear, no shame, and no limits. And, in doing so, our day-to-day becomes a celebration of the constant of who you are, and the dance of the infinite to the discovery and rebirth, as an invitation for each and every one of us to live with an open heart, in harmony with the truth, the more pure it lies in all of us. And because of this, our most important task is to remind you that the key to it all was always in our hearts, in our more in-depth with who you really are. Because when you stop looking for answers out there, and you start to listen to that quiet voice that's always been inside, and everything is changed. And this transformation is the one that leads us to realize that we are in a universe of possibilities and are ready to build a new life, a new story, a new version of ourselves. Because, in the end, it's all the things that we look for is an expression of a love that has already taken place on the inside, just waiting for you to have the courage to let it flourish. I now want to go more in depth on this topic. As it is, this is a journey of self-discovery. Many times, it seems like a crossing on the quiet, on the inside, where each step reveals a new layer, which, until then, has remained hidden. And it is precisely here that we see that the greatest change happens when you learn to look with honesty and without fear, without judgment, just a genuine desire to get to know who you really are beyond the mask that we carry. The search for a connection to us the most real, it's like a seed that can be planted with care, and it starts to grow slowly, which means that the answers you have been searching for are not outside, but within us, in our lives and in our history over the years. And it is this essence. It is like a light that has never ceased to shine, even as the world seemed to be too dark to see. It is at this point that we realize that all the doubt, all the pain, all the questions will also serve as a tool for learning, such as bridges, that lead us to this deeper level. And then, when we look at our own shadows, we were able to understand that they are not the enemy, but the parts of our that are crying for attention, for a host for your understanding. When we learn to accept our imperfections with love, we can begin to understand that perfection doesn't come with an external standard to be achieved, but it is a way for us to be better each and every day, even with all our flaws. And then, in the process, come up with insights that seem small, but they carry the immense power of us free from the shackles that we don't even know what carigavamos. Every decision, every thought, and every feeling that we have cultivated over the life course, all of this makes up our reality, and a lot of times, we are in the very architecture of our own limitations. But, at the same time, we are also the creators of infinite possibilities, of a freedom that begins in a person's mind and radiate into the world. It's like a dance, in which we learn to move with a light, even in the face of these obstacles. It is because we understand that they, too, are a part of the tempo, that is, the resistance of a part in the growth. And this realization is liberating because it gives us a chance to rewrite our history, and to try new ways, and to turn what seemed to be an irreversible one. Therefore, it is a great opportunity to give a new meaning, that of placing love at the center of it all, because in the end, the only real power that can move is the energy that connects us to what's really important. When we realize that we are part of something bigger than themselves, that they seem to be so far away if it becomes a tangible, accessible, and a never-ending source of strength and hope. And, in this way, we find that the change is not something that happens at one time or another, but in a construction site daily, made up of small attitudes and thoughts are aligned, and a sincere commitment to their own development. And with this development, on the other hand, is a straight line, but a spiral that leads us to deeper levels of understanding, compassion, self-love. Every step, every challenge, every win, it all adds up to a mosaic of a life that reveals itself more and more authentic, more real, more of us. And it is precisely because of this movement is the constant discovery that we find the beauty of being a human, to be imperfect and to the full, and at the same time, learning to accept the flow of life with gratitude and hope. After all, what we are looking for is a connection with our heart. This is in tune with our hearts and minds, one that reminds us every day that we are in a state of constant transformation, for the light, of peace, of an even deeper sense of belonging. And when you realize this, we realize that our journey will never end, because in the real sense, you are just on the way, in learning, in letting go, in love, in every step, no matter how difficult or simple it may be. I now want to go more in depth on this topic. It's like, when you immerse yourself in the reflection to see who's the biggest secret of our existence, and it is precisely because of the ability to create, rewrite our history, and in turn each of the pain as an opportunity for growth. And, in this capacity, it is not something that comes out of it, but it was born inside of us, in the power of the love that we have, in the hope that it insists on the need to flourish even in the darkest times. It is like a fire that never shall be quenched, even when everything around you seems to fall apart, because it is a part of our lives. Our purpose is to evolve, to become better versions of ourselves. And when you realize this, we can begin to understand that true power lies in choosing to be the protagonists of our own history, and that every choice is a seed sown in the soil of our hearts, and that, with care, and with faith, you can reap the fruits of one's life more full, more real, more in tune with who you really are. It is a journey of self-discovery that takes courage, yes, but it's also a great compassion for oneself, learning to love our imperfections. This is the one that allows us to move with the light and the hope. And, in it, everything changes. Your questions, if you make it life lessons, all the aches and pains are revealed to be the masters, and the hope is it becomes our compass, guiding us to the most beautiful in all of us. And so, with this deeper understanding, we can begin to understand that our mission is just that, to live with authenticity and the courage to be who you truly are, without the mask, without the mask, without the mask. Because, deep down, we are looking for love, connection, respect, and this is what urges us to follow, to evolve, and transform every moment into an opportunity to bring more and more of our lives, more pure. And, in doing so, we discover that life with all its ups and downs, it's a precious gift, a gift that invites us to awaken to our own light, our truth, the more in depth. And, as we walk through this journey of discovery, you can feel it all makes sense, of which you are a part of a great mystery is revealed each day, with each choice, each and every the courage to look inside, and if you allow yourself to be who you really are. Because, deep down, that is our freedom, to be truly we are, to the fullest extent of the love that was always there, just waiting for us to have the courage to open our eyes and see it. And when you understand it, it is clear that our way is the dance of the eternal, between the self and the transformation of a quest that will never end. Because all that really matters is that you're able to create in the present moment, back in the here and now, an invitation to a life that is more conscious, more loving, and more accurate. And it is in the vibration of hope and reliable delivery which we found on the way to an existence that is lighter, more in tune with who we really are, and where every step is a statement of our own power to transform, to evolve, to fall in love. Because, at the end of the day, all of the things that we seek has always been within us, in our deepest core, just waiting for us to have the courage to take the next step, to open ourselves up to the truth that it is our own personal freedom. I now want to go more in depth on this topic. Because, at the end of the day, all of the things that we seek has always been within us, in our deepest core, just waiting for us to have the courage to take the next step, to open ourselves up to the truth that it is our own personal freedom. I now want to go more in depth on this subject, for it is precisely here, in the diving at the core, we find the key to unlock that which is often hidden under layers of fear, doubt, and limiting beliefs that we have been accumulating over the life course. It's as if you're carrying a backpack that weighed in stories that do not belong to us of the expectations we have placed the opinions of others, who have become absolute truths in the back of our minds. And, at the same time, the inside of the backpack, there is a quiet strength, a light that never goes out, waiting for that one moment of courage to shine brightly. When you start to realize that all the things that truly make us feel alive, empowered, authentic, it is just our more true to who we are. In fact, it changes everything. Because, then, of a sudden, the lines that seem insurmountable are beginning to fade into the background. Of our questions, before you are so heavy, they become opportunities for learning, for self-discovery. Each and every fear that seemed to be in the stall has proved to be a bridge, to a certain degree of freedom, an invitation to explore the universe, built with the most compassion and understanding. It's like finding out that it's a prison that you've built around us. It was, in fact, an illusion, a shadow, which only exists because we allow it to dominate. The truth is that we are much more than just the stories that we tell about ourselves, and of the opinion which we have absorbed the influences of the outside of the mistakes and failures that we have, as if they were our own identities are final. And then, in the process of diving, we've realized that life is not a journey to be covered up with fear, but with a dance to the discovery of the infinite possibilities that are unfolding as we make room for you to our most authentic self to emerge. And that courage to be, to accept, to love you exactly as it is, it's what makes us truly free. Because, deep down, all searching for something outside for the recognition, by the validation, you're just trying to fill a void that has ever been created on the outside but on the inside, and in our connection with our true essence. When one is freed from these shackles, we make it clear that we are the creators of our own destiny, and the writers of our history, and will be able to transform any limitation as an opportunity for growth. And, at this point, many of the times, comes up with a question that sounds simple, but it carries a deep, immense, through it. So if this is freedom, so as to reach so many people are still living prey to one's own shadow? Because of the strength of the wake-up is stronger than you think. It's like an inner voice that insists on keeping the comfort zone, even when it is not in the running out of steam, because it's the unknown fear. And here comes a big battle that we don't want to see it, and against which we would prefer to deny it, contrary to what you believe in, that we are unable to change. But when we allow ourselves to go beyond these limitations, we find that the change is not something in the distance. It is a decision for the daily look-in, to embrace every part of you with tenderness and to recognize that we are in a constant state of evolution, are capable of rewriting our narrative at any given time. And in this rewrite, it begins with the realization that our true strength lies in the originality. When we let go of the masks and the expectations of others, to a life that we don't actually feel lighter, more alive, more present. It is in this state, the connection is genuine, and the magic is that we attract the things that really resonates with us, the things that feed our soul, the one thing that makes any sense. There is no room for that which is superficial, temporary, because in the core crying out for authenticity and living a life that is our own is an expression of love, courage, and truth. And then, when you realize that every decision, every step you take, makes it a good opportunity for you to tell who you are, and to strengthen the connection with our innermost self, to create a reality that is based on the true freedom, one that arises from the inside to the outside. And then, in the path of self-discovery, we've learned that the greatest journey is the one that we do inside of us, a journey of courage, surrender, and listen sincerely to be true. Because, in the end, we are who we chose to open the doors of our hearts to allow the light to be revealed, or close the window, for fear of what we might find. The big reveal is that freedom is not something that is achieved on the outside, but that which already exists within us, just waiting for us to allow them to recognize it, accept it, and live it to the fullest. And when you do that, everything around you starts to change, because what we really are, when you are aligned with the core, it radiates an energy that moves us, inspires, and awakens others to also find their own potential and to be free. I now want to go more in depth on this issue, because this is where the real transformation happens when we believe that the pursuit of freedom, that is, in fact, it is a journey of discovery of self-love, of connection to our essence is pure. It is as if each and every step that we take in that way, it was an affirmation that we are all deserving of a life in alignment with what is most authentic in all of us. And when you understand it, one is freed from the imprisonment, is invisible to the opinion of the expectations of the external and of the limitations that we have created in our minds. We have found that the real power comes out of a recognition of who we truly are, out of our vulnerabilities, our hopes, our ability to transform pain into learning, fear into courage. And, well, every day is an opportunity to rewrite our story and create a narrative that we empower them. We connect with our higher purpose, to what really matters to you, the freedom to be who we are, genuinely, without a mask, without the mask, and without fear. And then, in the stream of self-discovery, we've learned that the biggest threat to our freedom, many a times, it is in us, the little voices of doubt. You still insist on telling us that we are not able to, and that it is not for us, it isn't even the point. But, at the same time, we also realize that it is only an illusion, a shadow of what we can provide to our intent to move forward, to accept us, love us exactly as we are. Because, in the end, freedom is a daily choice to reconnect with all that is beautiful and true in all of us. And that choice is what makes us move forward, even in the face of obstacles, the most difficult, because it reminds us that we are the authors of our own happiness. So, every step you take, every decision, every act of courage, it is a statement of who we are waking up to a new reality, a reality whereas the love, authenticity, and freedom go hand in hand, reminding us of that at the core, we are able to create, change, and be happy, just by being true to our inner truth. And, if you think about all of this, I believe that the greatest beauty of the day, it's just that, it tells us that the freedom that you have been searching for is already within you, just waiting for you to acknowledge them, which is to encircle it with all the courage, and the need to live, with all the strength of your heart. Because when we let go of the fear to be who we are today, all that changes. Our outer world becomes one to reflect this inner freedom, and the life, and then, it becomes a celebration of the constant of who we really are. And it is that time of the authenticity of the full, that we can find peace, joy, and fulfillment that we are always searching for it, because, after all, could there be another way? It is to know that we are free when we choose to embrace our own truth without reservation, without fear. And, when it does happen, everything around you starts to win out new things, new colors, new possibilities, because it's the core of who becomes the light which shines the path for those who are still in a hunt to find. And it is precisely at this point that it all starts to make sense, in a way that seems almost magical, but in fact is a pure consequence of a courage to be silent, in a decision that is often overlooked, but they are able to change the world. When we allow ourselves to be who we truly are, without masks, without the pretenses, without the weight, in order to please or to fit into the standards that have never been done to us, we have found a strength inside you that it seems to be there forever, just waiting on the permission to show up. It is like a flood that you find in your way, that you dig a hole through the ground, skirting the obstacles, which follows its core, and in the process, reveal a beauty that seemed to be hidden between the layers of insecurity and fear. It's like, to be free from the bondage of the trial, outside, in the libertassimos also to our own current from internal ones, the ones that oftentimes, we create them for our doubts of our own limitations, our constant search for validation. This is the freedom that comes from a decision every day to accept and love each other. It's a light that shines on the path up from the inside out, touching each and every aspect of our lives, transforming into the small action in a great gesture of hospitality. And, in doing so, we realize that the world around you starts to change, because there is nothing that is separate from who we really are. Everything is seen as an extension of our true expression of our essence is pure. The relationships and gaining new depth, the opportunity to appear in a way that seemed to be impossible, even for the challenges that seem to be minor in the face of a force that is born from a heart that is aligned with your own truth. If you go through this process and know that it's not a linear path, it is not a day of perfect days, or moments, no doubt, but it's a journey of self-discovery, continuous, in which each step is an opportunity to be reunited with, to affirm. And, along the way, we've learned that the biggest secret is not to try to be somebody else, but you know what, we have to accept in its entirety. We are able to create a reality which reflects this richness. It is an internal movement that reverberates to the outside world, the dance of quiet, between who we are and what we wish to manifest. And it is this deep connection to our truth of it is, in essence, is the source of all of authenticity for all to find true joy, a peace that is not dependent on external factors, but it is born out of a lineup built the courage to be who you really are able to reveal it. Each of the decision-making of the show, to be open, to share, in our vulnerability, is like a seed that sprouts in the garden of infinite possibilities. So, we have to be free of the shackles of what they told us, that we should be. We take a decisive step on the road to our greatest accomplishment, being ourselves, on the whole, with all the details of our weaknesses and our strengths. It is here that we find the essence of freedom, and that it is not something that you can conquer in no time, but it's a state of mind that grows stronger each and every time that we choose to live in harmony with the truth. And with that courage, and life turns out to be a work of art, an expression of a unique, unrepeatable, of which there are more genuine in all of us. Because, at the end of the day, all that we are in, hiding behind our own walls, just waiting for our decision is to let them fall. And, when it does, a sense of peace and belonging that is so intense, it looks like they have finally found the home that we are always searching for, the one who has never been very far away, but you just need to look closer to be revealed. I now want to go more in depth on this subject, because, as we reflect on the journey of authenticity, we see that it also reveals the true, hidden. The biggest enemy of those who seek such freedom is, in many cases, the actual internal resistance, that little voice that urges us to remain in the zone of comfort in the familiarity of it is well known, even if it means letting go of all of our experiences. It's like a battle of quiet, between what we really are and what we believe is that we should be to please the world, in order to avoid dealing with our own shadows. That it is subtle, and is often disguised as, of fear, of doubt, of a feeling that we are not yet ready to reveal it completely. And, in this internal conflict, we end up forgetting that the real power lies in accepting the vulnerability that is the greatest power you have. Because of the embrace of our own weakness, we fail to be a hostage of the movie or the need for approval. We understand that authenticity is not a facade, but it's a transparency connects us to our essence is pure, and that we do well to remember that we are ever evolving, always learning, always adjusting to the road. And this understanding gives us immense freedom, one which no conquest, the material, is able to deliver. It's a freedom that comes from recognizing that our imperfections are a part of our journey. It is a mark of one's journey, lived out with courage. So, we have to be free of outside expectations and masks that you try to hide who we really are. We can experience a sense of belonging that doesn't depend on what other people are thinking, but our connection is our truth. At the time of alignment, it all becomes clear. It's our greatest strength comes from within, and that our authenticity is what sets us apart from any other. And that, as we experience this truth, we are contributing to a world that is more real, more human, more full of possibility. This is the essence of true transformation, one that is not limited to changes in the surface, but one that touches the heart of who we are, waking up to a new way of looking at life, and to relate to, and make sense every single day. Because, in the end, it all comes down to a choice, to be true to ourselves even if it means walking in the opposite direction of what is easy or popular. And then, in an act of courage, we have the freedom, the most beautiful of them all, the one who transcends all words, and it manifests itself in our very essence, our truth, the more in depth. I now want to go more in depth on this topic. If you made it this far, it's because this message spoke to you in some way. Few people manage to stay until the end of such a video, and if you are here, know that this is already a sign that this reflection has touched your heart. Comment there, "I'm with you until the end," so that I know that this journey also made sense to you. If this content aroused any feelings or brought some clarity, take advantage and subscribe to the channel. Here, we seek to explore these reflections that help us better understand who we are and the courage we need to follow our paths. And, of course, if this video touched you in any way, leave your like, because it strengthens that message and helps others find that same comfort and inspiration. Staying until the end was your choice, and this already shows how much you value this exchange. Now, if you want to continue this conversation, there is content here on the side that complements all this well. Click and follow me, because the journey does not stop here. I am glad that you are here, that you have taken the time to reflect, that you want to grow and understand yourself more and more. These small actions, such as commenting, subscribing, or liking, seem simple, but they make all the difference in our journey of self-knowledge and courage. We know that it is not always easy to follow this path, but the beauty is precisely in this, in the courage to be true to yourself, even when everything around you seems to say otherwise. So stay with me, because the next step in our journey is right there, waiting for you. This conversation touched me deeply, and I'm sure the next chapter will also help you discover even more of its potential. After all, this journey is mine too, and it only makes sense if it is shared with those who truly seek truth and authenticity.